So as part of this fasting series I'm putting together, this one's about intermittent fasting versus OMAD, or 1 meal a day. And the thing with fasting is that a lot of people think the longer you go, the more successful you are. Then you have others that crash, that don't prepare for the fast, and don't exit the fast properly. So there's a multitude of stories out there, both successful and not so successful, and I'm here to clear it up a bit. Intermittent fasting versus OMAD. Where do you start? You're here to find out? Well, most people should start in the same place, and I'll tell you where it is. Most people should start intermittent fasting. The reason being is it's a safe spot, and you'll learn a lot of what fasting's all about. It kind of sets you up for success as you progress, and it really can build your capacity to take on different variations of fasting, but also learn more about your body. I came along IF many years ago when I had a heart attack and was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I can tell you, when I started with IF, it was purely transformational on how it controlled my glucose and my relationship with food, which ultimately was probably the reason why I ended up where I was. So what's your actual starting time in IF? If you can go 8 hours without food, maybe 10, 12 hours, then start there and just be consistent with that. I would just track how long you go without a meal. And what I mean by that, to frame it up properly, anything without calories, most people will say water, yay, water. And you could have black coffee. I think all too often people don't really have a schedule for food other than 3 meals a day or more. Be intentional about it. If you're saying 10 or 12 hours, whatever that number is, then stay with that for a while, but be consistent in that. And you'll notice that your body will start adjusting to your new schedule. Don't think it's failing by, I can only do 10 hours. Because if you do 10 hours today and next week you can do 10 and a half hours, that's progress in the right direction. And there is no end goal with fasting. Longer and harder isn't necessarily better. Get used to you taking control back of understanding what your body's asking for, the actual hunger signals, because that's what's important here. It's not being able to fast for 4 days. I mean, great, you fasted for 4 days, but you did it once. And I think what's important to realize is that wherever you are and whatever reason you're doing fasting is to be consistent in it. Don't treat it like a fad diet. It's a tool in your toolbox. And that's the beauty of doing intermittent fasting to start with, and going beyond that is to also understand where your sweet spot is. And I think if you're primarily looking for fat loss, everyone's different, and you'll find that sweet spot as you progress, as you build more capacity. There is no real reason that you need to earn the badge of honor by doing a 48-hour fast. If your primary goal is fat loss, you might be fine with OMAD, 1 meal a day, or 2MAD, 2 meals a day, or IF at 12 hours. You really have to understand why, because when it does get tough, and it will, as you adjust to anything, answering the why will help you get through that with a lot of things in life. So when I started doing 36 hours, 48 hours, alternate day fasting, and prolonged, upwards of 65 hours, they were used for different needs. Beyond fat loss, it could tackle GI problems, rebuild your microbiome, help with IBS. There are a multitude of reasons, and I'll go through that more in my fasting series, but just realize that you're building metabolic flexibility. You're teaching your body that there's different ways to feed itself besides what you put in your mouth. Having that switch, burning fat for fuel or burning glucose for fuel, knowing that my insulin sensitivity was greatly improving. Don't put a calendar to this. Don't say, I'm going to do it for this amount of time. You can as a goal, but just realize that it's okay to break a fast early. I was trying to tell my body how to function, because we always think that our bodies are broken and needs to be told what to do. When they do what you tell them and you gain weight or you end up being a diabetic, then we blame our body. We're conditioning our body in a way that we're not listening anymore. And through fasting, this capacity to understand, to learn about the 5 pillars, about all your nutrition, your sleep, your stress levels, your supplements, and your movement. So the great place to start again is intermittent fasting, and before you know it, you're at OMAD, 1 meal a day. That's a great accomplishment. It really is. If you can keep doing OMAD, even if it's a couple times a week, consistency doesn't mean every day, then congratulations. That's an accomplishment. And sit in the moment. Don't keep going and say, well, I can do 36, 48, 64. Just enjoy the moment. The one thing I really enjoyed when I was going through that early stage was the huge amount of calm that came over my body, the clarity of mind. It affected all parts of my life, my stress level, my energy level. It is an amazing feeling, but you need to sit in that moment and enjoy it. When I'm not doing fasting and I get a lot of food noise, or get stressed, or I get brain fog, I say, you know what? I'm not going to eat today. For me, I totally miss that calm. And it brings me back to center. And I'm only getting emotional because the struggle I've been through, and I wish you the very best. Until next time.